Hello, virtual ICP conference of 2022. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Ling Ling from Malaysia, and I'm a master's student in the psychology of intercultural relations with ISCTE in Portugal. My master's research was supervised by Dr. Rita Guerra, also from ISCTE, and Dr. Kinga Bjarwiachonek from the University of Oslo in Norway. Displaced people. With a quick online search, you'll find images of people carrying their life's possessions and holding their children tightly. Yet we must recognize that displaced people are hugely diverse. In these remarks, I'll speak about forcibly and externally displaced people, which I will refer to as refugees. I first encountered refugees at the British Red Cross as a volunteer facilitator. Every week, our team arranged an afternoon of language and cultural workshops for single refugee mothers in London. Young and naive as I was, working with them has taught me so much. They were not powerless victims of uncontrollable circumstances. For one, they were like everyone else, people who needed safety and stability, love and connection. But most importantly, they were not nameless, faceless, or helpless people begging for assistance. They were culturally diverse, full of character in life, resourceful, and resilient. Since then, I have volunteered and worked with NGOs in Malaysia, Singapore, and Serbia. I met young refugee girls dreaming to be doctors, lawyers, and even psychologists one day. I met an actor whose movie was released in 4 countries. I met teachers with no formal education, teaching math and English to young kids. I've also heard of successful chefs, theater directors, as well as church and community leaders. Despite disturbing experiences of the past and the challenges of living in the new country, somehow they managed to rebuild their lives and thrive. And I wondered, what factors helped them to adapt to a new country? And if we discovered these factors, could this be taught, shared, or reconstructed to help other struggling refugees? When people from different cultures come into contact, inevitably they will find ways to communicate, make friends, advance their careers, or find love. All of this requires psychological and sociocultural adaptation. But refugees differ from other migrants because of their unique experiences of forced displacement, which can push them to their physical, emotional, and cognitive limits. Also, other psychological processes such as loss of control, uncertain future, and memories of suffering and violence may hinder their adaptation. Thus, it is no surprise that refugees struggle to adapt and their mental health may suffer. To further understand this, we build upon the recently proposed theoretical framework by Professor Gerald Echterhoff and his team from the University of Münster in Germany. The model is called the psychological antecedents of refugee integration, or PARI for short. In our study, we focused on the Zomis, an ethnic group from Myanmar, and compared them with refugees from other ethnicities. Today, there's an estimated of 150,000 Zomi refugees residing in Malaysia, awaiting for resettlement or for their refugee status via UNHCR. We found cultural differences, one of which was the role of loss of control in relation to their psychological adaptation. For most refugees, the sense of losing control is common, which naturally impacts their well-being. However, Zomi refugees, whether they feel a high or low degree of control, it doesn't seem to influence their well-being. How could this be? We don't have the data to disentangle or explain these findings. But because most Zomis are Christians, we speculate their deep-seated belief that their lives are in God's hands may have helped. Also, the context in which migration is normalized somehow protected their well-being from further degradation. Indeed, more research is needed. We cannot assume that refugees are a homogeneous group of helpless people waiting for charity. They are rich in knowledge, skills, and experiences coming from distinct backgrounds and diverse upbringings. In understanding displaced people, these nuances and complexities should be considered. As psychologists, I believe one of our roles is to discover and remind people of their strengths, whether it comes from their personality, from context, or culture. These discoveries can empower displaced people to leverage their resources and strengths for better life outcomes. An American novelist, George S. William, once said, "On the other side of the storm is the strength that comes from having navigated through it. Raise your sail and begin." Thank you, and I look forward to speaking with you at the roundtable.